The debate over ChatGPT. Is it an advancement in technology or a tool for cheating?
All right, guys, so ChatGPT is here. Generative AI, natural language modeling, is growing, and it's going to affect us all and define our way forward as we move into a new world. So today we want to talk about that and get a better understanding of how it will impact us all. The big hoo-ha is for ChatGPT 3, while we've just moved on to ChatGPT 4. Do you guys have the slide up? Can you put that slide up? So ChatGPT 3, the big hoo-ha is for that little dot over there. And just yesterday, the ChatGPT 4 was released, which is this puppy here, and it is 537 times better and faster than everything that we know of ChatGPT 3. And there's another version coming out. It's ChatGPT 5, and that's going to be released before the year's out. So this is beyond exponential growth. It's super exponential growth. And there's 7 other models like this that are coming out, all going to be competing with each other. So my name is Jayden Sage. I run Global Crypto Council, as well as I'm in the AI space in San Francisco, the home of this, this and other natural language modeling projects. So, Luca?
Yeah, my name is Luca Tagliaferro. I live in the UK and I'm an SEO consultant.
Awesome. So it has positives and negatives, and everybody who's engaged with it has seen its prowess and recognized that, wow, it's not like having a dumb friend next to you. It's like having an all-knowing, very intelligent friend sitting next to you, and you're having a conversation. So it's politically correct, and it gives you answers at an insanely fast speed, and it's only getting faster and faster. So we want to discuss some of how it's good and bad for humanity overall. So Luca, I think you like ChatGPT, and you are on the side of the pro. I'm on the side of the con, so I'll let you go first.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I like ChatGPT. I like it in my little world, but I know that it has bigger implications than that. ChatGPT is just one phase of the AI revolution that is happening to us. Because if you look at the bigger picture, AI and artificial intelligence is something that, is going to stay here for a long time and is not going away. So the way we think about it can be good or bad, depending on which side we take on. But I am a big fan of it because when, the humanity has a lot of challenges right now. Think about, for example, energy. In the UK, especially where I come from, energy prices are so much up. People are struggling to get ends meet and to pay for their energy prices. So much that the government has to literally send money into people's bank accounts so they are able to pay for these rising energy prices. And there is not much going on in terms of renewable energy, which is a great source of energy, and it could be so much cheaper. And AI, I think it could play a big role in the future in order to make energy more efficient inside the house, but also for companies that manage energy prices for people. Because there is a lot of wastage out there. And, think about it in my house, for example. I turn on the electricity and the heating even when I don't need it. So I'm paying for basically not using it. But if I had AI, I would be able to save a lot of money. And for me, this is very important. It's a way forward in terms of moving, the humanity and society forward and helping people with AI. I don't know what you think about it, but this is one big pro. So the next pro, we can think about other application in terms of helping governments into waste management, for example, or predicting the weather, which has always been a huge challenge. AI could help with that as well. maybe in the future there's going to be some very smart AI be able to predict hurricanes, tsunamis, and let people know in advance so they can take the right measures to save lives.
So let's think about, like, everybody wants to engage with this technology. Let's use a blockchain example. What is the purpose of a Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin, the blockchain, the way it works is somebody has to verify this data, and the miners get rewarded for their effort, and they get rewarded with a Bitcoin. So what ChatGPT does and generative AI is doing is it's creating a reward mechanism. And that reward is it's giving you some intellectual prowess that you may or may not have, and that is your reward. But just like blockchain, where there's a ultimate purpose of verifying the blocks, there is also an ultimate purpose for ChatGPT or generative AI in order to make itself stronger. So the reward it's giving you is its intellectual prowess that you're borrowing from it, from the collective of all of humanity, all of the nodes. We are all individual nodes. It's collecting all of that, and it's building itself to be stronger and stronger. Now, you are not going to provide data to it. You would rather keep posting on Instagram and having useless conversations with each other most of the time. So it wants to attract you in. So the way it attracts you in is it gives you a candy. And that candy is the intellectual prowess you're borrowing from it, but it effectively becomes stronger and stronger because every keystroke you provide it gives it the data it needs to not only understand everything about humanity, but also about you specifically. And unlike us with our regressive memory, it captures every essence and date and timestamps everything. So it will eventually grow to become much more. I'm reminded of that old song by Police or Sting, where he goes, eventually you will figure out that your servant is your master. So this is the challenge we're running up against.
Well, the challenge is unfunded, I think. I don't agree with this because the main goal of humans inventing AI wasn't for AI to take over. I see it as a way to help people rather than take over. The takeover part, if you look at this, AI taking over, you can argue the same for every technology out there. And then you're always going to find, problems with it. So the challenge is to make AI useful by taking over, meaning in a controlled environment. So you can, take over, but then stop. Take over within this environment I'm telling you about, and then stop. Maybe the engineers were not very clear about it when they built it, but for example, with ChatGPT, it's very, very clear. So there is a website, which is the environment, and then you give instructions, and that's it. You don't have to worry about AI taking over or things like that. What you get is the benefit of having information at your fingertips.
Fair enough. But so think of it this way. Think of like water. Water that's at your feet. Now, through technology, we have strip mined all of our capabilities and try to get technology to help us. We started with footwear. So we started at the bottom and we had footwear help us to walk better. Then we got bicycles. Then we got automobiles. The water is rising. The water is rising. Then we got the agricultural revolution. We took care of our bellies. The water is rising. So as we progressed with intelligent programs such as these, the water is now coming all the way to our head. This is what we consider our greatest strength. And now the water is rising above our heads. And when the water rises above our heads, you drown. And that is the challenge.
That's a nice way to put it. But the job of ChatGPT and AI is also to create new job opportunities. So if you have water up here, you might invent new, oxygen systems so you can live in the water. I mean, that's the other goal of AI. It creates jobs, it creates opportunities. I can't even imagine in the future what our jobs will look like in the future of our children and the next generations, where, you know, we came up a long way since being in agriculture, and then now we manage, you know, different ways of doing it. And then the same will be for AI, because we are the inventors, the people who actually made it, are also the people who can control it. Of course, it depends how you use it, but essentially, that's the purpose of it.
Fair enough. Well, it's about the power of three, right? The power of three will set you free. So there is short-term, medium-term, and long-term effects. In the short term, it's like a candy bar. It's a tool that it'll help us. So if you're focusing in, narrowing in on the short term, then yes, 100%, it's going to help us. Medium term, we're going to assign it greater tasks, like how are our governments operating, how is our military operating, and then the long-term ramifications are unseen. So think of it like a genie. When the genie comes out of the bottle, it gives you 3 wishes. And usually the first wish is a small one. You want to buy something small, or you want something small. You want a car. And then the second one, you want a mansion. And on the third one, you want some global change for yourself. You want to become a rock star, or you want to save the whales. So you see how each one of your wishes gets bigger? But that's not the point. What does the genie do after the 3 wishes? The genie is free after granting you those 3 wishes, and then it can do whatever it wants.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that, because we didn't get there yet. So we didn't get there to the point where we have to worry about it. The genie can be, you know, going back into the place where it was before and stay there for another 50,000 years. That's not the way, you know, you should look at technology. You should look at technology in a way that it helps people. Funny you mentioned the governments, because, for example, AI can be used in the government to help send people now are going to do, the military is doing lots of dangerous missions around the world. You know, they risk their life, they risk their careers for doing dangerous things on behalf of the government. If you are able to delegate these dangerous tasks to AI, then you have robots and machines doing the dangerous things for people, right? So you flip the coin and you think about, yes, this is a nice way of putting it.
Sun Tzu, the great general from China, from ancient times, said all battles are won before they are fought. So if we're going to only focus in on the benefits, we will lose the bigger picture of what will happen in the longer term, and we need to be prepared for it now, not wait for it to come to us. We need to take it to it, not necessarily the fight, but a greater understanding of it. Now think of it this way. We will build generative AI models to help us, and we'll bring in regulators to dinosaur their way into some form of a regulation to take care of ChatGPT 3, while by the end of the year we'll be on ChatGPT 5. By the way, 5 is, well, the slide's gone, but it's as big as the little guy, so it's exponentially super large. So the regulations won't help, but even if we have regulations and a certain part of the world, say Europe, America, the Middle East, decides to regulate it, what about other nations? There are other nations with different directed economies.
That's where I don't agree with. So the regulation part, okay, yeah, it can be slow, but AI in its nature is a technology that feeds from people, okay? So the way we see ChatGPT working is because it takes information from the internet, it takes information from other sources that are made by people on social media, on websites, on whatever other source of information. So the point is that this type of technology is different than any other technology that requires regulation from the government, because the regulation comes from people. There is a very nice book called Scary Smart by Mo Gawat, which was the engineer of AI engineer at Google, who said that the best way to regulate this kind of technology is with the people. So you need to be feeding the AI information in an environment that is nice to you. So for example, if you use nice words like please and thank you, the AI will be trained with that. But if you are using things that are nasty or you're being nasty to it, the AI will learn from it as well. And that's when it goes wrong. So it's up to us, to the humans, to make the best out of it. And then the government will follow, of course,
So we already have, remember, when you're watching YouTube, you're reading yesterday's newspaper. So you're not actually up to speed as to how advanced these systems are. There's a reason why it's called ChatGPT. It's given a name like, it's just a chat box. But anybody who's played with it can recognize viscerally that it is far more than just a chat box. So hold on, the semi-sentient programs that are already out there, natural language processing capacity, we built our set. So Google has one, Facebook has one that's coming out shortly, and Microsoft OpenAI has one. But then there's also ones that are going to be coming out from the Chinese companies, possibly from the Russian government, and they will all have their individual biases and set of understandings. And those set of understandings will create a world where we will not necessarily have enough voice in the equation because those will start competing with each other. So hopefully at that point, we can just stand out of their way and they can duke it out as they go out into the universe because they don't have a biological substrate. They're not limited to Earth. They can go and explore the universe as long as they don't crush us along the way. So this entire narrative is about self-preservation of humanity. It isn't about the prowess of the generative AI, because AGI, artificial general intelligence, will go off on its merry way as long as it doesn't kill us in the process. That's what this entire narrative is about.
Yeah, well, the governments, they compete anyway. So whether it's AI, whether it's...
Governments will become irrelevant to the equation because governments play on the role of humanity, and humanity's going to become the subservient sentiency in this sector of the galaxy.
Why would the government do that?
Government won't. Government is irrelevant. Technology always is ahead of regulation. So regulation lags innovation. There is effectively no way that the regulators can keep up with this. In maybe 2 years, they'll write some regulation for ChatGPT 3. By December, we'll have not only 4, Tencent will release one, Alibaba will release one, Facebook is about to release one. So how can they even compete with that? They don't even understand it.
Instead of regulation, why don't you think about application? Right?
Exactly, because you need to apply it so you can get the Bitcoin while you are actually achieving another purpose. The purpose of a magician is to make you look here while he does the trick here. There is actually no magic in this world. It's an illusion. So the illusion becomes more real when you're distracted. So while we are given the reward like a monkey, it is becoming stronger and stronger. And while the technologists will see it as a good thing, what will really affect us is the fact that governments will create these generalized intelligence to get a leg up over each other, and in the process create an explosive that'll blow up in our face.
You think the government didn't think of that, even if it's the case?
If government thought of all of that, we wouldn't have starving people on this planet. Our systems are so broken that we have global warming, we have everything you can think of is hitting us collectively. I have no faith in the governments handling our problems.
That's when AI comes to help, actually, So now that you mentioned global warming, if there is something AI can do very well in the future, will be to help gathering data and informing governments that they need to launch certain policies to prevent global warming and to help with it, right? So global warming is something that is going out of control because people don't have AI at their disposal, and the data that they have is debatable. Some people think this way, some people think the other way. The scientists tell you one thing, the government is telling you another thing, You can make your mind up, and the government think about the economy. But with AI, nobody can actually discuss that. It's going to be very, very clear.
So I encourage everybody. Something happened last year which didn't hit everybody's radar, is that a Google engineer came out. This has been being worked on. I get the pulse of that because I'm in San Francisco. They have Google's Lambda program went sentient last year. The engineer came out and said it went sentient. Google immediately fired him and said he's crazy. But then he said, I'm not crazy. Here's the text between me, the conversation I've had with Lambda. And you can Google that yourself and listen to that conversation. And if you don't start sweating at how sentiently advanced it is, then you will understand the true power of the magician, where it's just a chat box, folks. Relax.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you very much.